Radio. Raheem here with Spencer Fearon. We are in the heart of Ghana. We've been here all week. The action has been mad, but last night was the pinnacle. Last night, the show finally came off, and what a cracker of a show it was. I mean, all the way from top to bottom. I got to take you right into the main event, though, because that's what everybody is talking about.
Yeah.
I just talked to Craig Richards. We walked through the fight. It was so entertaining. You and I happened to be sitting next to each other watching the action.
And eating the food. Well, you were eating. I was. Firstly, please, radio.
Yeah.
Let me tell you this. Ladies and gentlemen, if you ever need a hype man, right, to boost you, Radio Raheem's the guy. Seriously, I've had an incredible time, I've had an incredible time in this country. Like, so thank you to the president's son, Mr. John Mahama's son, Sharif. How we've got treated has been on another level, and it's so nice. And even to me, Mama Radio Raheem as well out here. Like, no, man, that's that.
Yeah, let me tell you, it's not hype. You can only get this kind of big up if you deserve it. If the content and the substance is there,
for real,
you are
for
legitimately
real,
a legend. I'll put it on the pedestal it deserves. But all hype is out the window. But we're gonna get to the broader experience in Ghana and such. But you know, these boxing fans, they want the meat and potatoes first. I want you to walk me through this fight. It seems like a fight of two halves. So the first half of the fight, first 6 rounds, it seemed like what Dan Aziz was doing seemed to be working, and it was a close back and forth. How'd you see it?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But the thing about it is this, it was like there was no change in gear for Dan because he fought at a methodical pace. And then you saw as soon as Craig started to switch it up, and he was switching up because like he was going down to the body and he was coming up to the head. But because I think the heat played a major part in this fight as well. Like, to be accustomed to the heat. And like when you're going back and you breathe, like you could be in England where it's a lot colder climate and you're tired and you're breathing in it feels hot. Could you imagine what it was like here? We were outdoor, no, you know what I mean? But it was excellent because of the time when it came out. So it was humid, but I was so impressed with both fighters. And it was sad because I know both fighters, we're South London. And like, so on this, you didn't want to be vocal on what sides that you're taking or all the rest of it. I just want to see a good fight. But the major thing to me, it was amazing to see like 2 South Londoners coming all the way out to Africa to headline. That was amazing. It was a very, very good fight. But as soon as Craig was double jabbing, then that's when I said like, he's setting him up, he's looking for that. I think, well, you sat beside me. I said, he's looking to throw the left hook. And there's times where he was and he's falling short, but when he did catch him, it was horrible. And I was saying to like Craig, I said, you're the new Bob Foster, bro. Because of your height, your range, and you got very good IQ, but so is Dan. So it was a really good fight. You know what I mean?
It's an interesting thing that you bring up is the atmosphere and the humidity and the way that you have to condition yourself for the climate.
You do.
We're fortunate because it's December and it isn't like the scorching heat that it can get the temperatures to. But also the humidity here, it changes the breathing, how much hydration you need, and the heat is still a factor.
It's a massive factor. When you see like the people who actually live here, right, then it's nothing to them. And if you notice, like everybody's chiseled. Everybody,
you know what I mean? You're right. There's no body fat.
There's no body fat out here, man. Everybody's chiseled, even to little kids. I saw a little kid out in the park yesterday. He had a 10-pack for crying out loud. So like, it's crazy.
I got a 10-pack of Malta.
No, that drink's national.
It's so nice. And it's, you know what? It's better here than it is in the UK. They're doing something different. The second half of the fight, however, was different. Like you say, Craig switched gears.
He did. He switched gears.
It seemed to be coming on. The hook was working. He was able to throw some combination punches. But as we got to the championship rounds, as you will, did you think we were headed towards just a points decision? How did you think this fight was going to finish at the time?
Do you know what? I did, because we got to the 12th and final round, right? My prediction for the fight prior was like, I think like, I saw what Craig was doing in the gym with, like, he's back with Tony Sims now, and I can see the improvement, and I can see like how he puts the bag work. It's like they focus heavily on strength and conditioning, but strength and conditioning where you can use it in a fight. Loads of guys are doing strength and conditioning, but there's no purpose for it in a fight, but for you psychologically saying that you're stronger. But how Craig was putting his combinations on the bag, I said, anyhow you open up on anyone world class, they're going to be in trouble. And no one can't tell me that Dan Aziz, being a former British and European champion, isn't fringe world class, because he is. But that knockout was heavy, and to get a knockout in the 12th round, you don't really see knockouts like that in the 12th round. Then that means that you know something. And it was nice to see two veterans guys, because they was both trying to plot for each other. They were setting up shots. There's certain times where Dan would do like the gazelle punch, like the Marvin Hagler, he'll dip over and go with that forward kind of uppercut, like a kind of razor run up motion. He would do that. And he done that, but then he was getting too reliant on it, and then Craig figured it out. And every time Craig saw him dip to the side, Craig would step back and throw a 1-2. It was such a good fight. It was a good fight. It was an educational fight to me. So I enjoy things like that.
The knockout punch.
It was horrible.
Did you see it coming? You think he was setting that up, or was it just one of those shots that was timed perfectly?
No, because it was it was a perfectly timed shot. It was perfectly timed shot, and you got to think and say, like, he would have hit anyone like that in the world, right? They would be in trouble. And it was how he put that shot in. Yeah. And because you know both of them, you think, oh, please, I just hope that Dan's going to be all right. And thank God he was all right, so yeah.
Yeah, to your point, there was a moment there. You know how it is when you see a picture-perfect knockout. It's so vicious. We've seen it countless times, but it never is less than an emotional impact because you know the danger of the sport. So everybody got quiet. We waited to see that he was going to be up and be okay, and he was, in fact. And then once that happens, then you go reflect on it, and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, then you can really celebrate. Because I saw, like, when Craig knocked him out, like, Craig was like, yes, yeah. And then he kind of like, let me just make sure that he's all right.
Yeah, because in the moment, you don't know as the fighter,
exactly.
This guy hits it first, and, you know, you put in so much work, and that moment comes. Of course, you're going to immediately celebrate and then realize what's happened. But, you know, from everything I understand, I haven't had an opportunity to talk to Dan, but everyone says he's fine. He's okay.
I spoke to Martin Bowers earlier, his trainer.
Okay.
And, yeah, Dan's all right.
Now, Go ahead, sorry.
No, Dan's all right. But what I really did enjoy, because, like, being out here, I've known Tony Sims, who trains Craig. I've known Tony Sims since I've been a little kid. And it was nice, like, I don't know Martin since I've been a little kid. So I used to use Martin's gym when I was a little kid. They had the Peacock Gymnasium. They still got it. Right? So it was nice just to be out here with them and just hearing the old stories. You know what I mean? And it's like there was a camaraderie inside boxing that a lot of people who are outside boxing will never understand. Right? And the camaraderie is actually a brotherhood. The divide what comes in is through social media. Do you know what I mean? Because someone can say something and take that context, all the rest of it, right? But it's a beautiful thing. But I really enjoyed that fight yesterday. I really did.
I said before the fight that it was a bottleneck fight, meaning that one fighter comes through and there's a future for him. There are plans that can be plotted, a path forward to potentially a world title shot. And the guy who is left in the bottle is exactly that, kind of stuck, looking at the drawing board, trying to figure out what can be done and if something should be done next in the sport of boxing.
Yeah.
So first, let's talk about the guy who come through and now is on the other side with the horizon. Where do you see Craig Richards in 2026? What way would you plot forward if you were designing the trail?
Me personally, right? Lyndon Arthur is the European champion, and when you hold the authentic EBU title, it puts you in the top 10, the proper top 10, but it also put you in the top 10 of the Ring magazine, right? Because we're going old school, right? So I would say, like, that's a fight that I could see happening, right? Simply because I think that'd be a very intriguing and interesting fight. And you're saying then, how else is he going to slip in for a world title? But we know for a fact now that Benavidez is moving up, so titles are going to be fragmented again, right? So then, and Craig just won. He just won IBF? He won yesterday, IBF International. So if that's the case, then he could get slipping. Like 2026, he could end up fighting for a world title, right? Because that was a very impressive win last night, and the gates are open. But him and Lyndon Arthur, I reckon, in a world title eliminate, I'd enjoy to watch that fight because their styles will gel, because they're very similar. They're tall, they're rangy, but it'd be a thinking man's fight. So for the purists, I would enjoy watching that fight.
And with a knockout highlight like we got last night, that's going to bring the fans in. Might put a little bit more money in this fight because it'll be more exciting to see Craig Richards again.
You know, like I'm saying, that was old school. That's like 50s fight. 50s fighters knock you out in the 12th round.
Right.
You get what I'm trying to say? You don't really see like, that was a horrid knockout last night. It was a well-timed knockout because you could see he was looking for that shot earlier, and then he mixed it up and he went downstairs to the body and he said, "Okay, I think I've got this now." And it was horrible. That's what it was.
And for Dan, he's fought hard, valiantly in this career. They're both so excited to have this clash here in Ghana, but now headed back to the UK. What do you see as the way forward for him, or is there a way forward?
I see that now. I see him fighting Ben Whittaker. Martin and Tony Bowers, they know what they're doing in boxing. Like, they could bring him back on like a little smaller show, let him just get a fight, get a blowout, and then put him with Ben Whittaker, right? Simple fact is like, Ben Whittaker needs to be tested. Dan Aziz is a very, very solidified, strong name, and I think that would be the way forward for them. So him fighting Ben Whittaker, that's what I'd like to go see. But it would not surprise me if they don't try and put Craig in with Ben Whittaker. But at this time now, I think Craig should concentrate on fighting for world titles. But I can see Dan fighting Ben Whittaker. I guarantee.
Interesting. And because Dan, again, is an operator. Yeah, it was a 12th round knockout, but before then it was a close, tough fight.
It was a very good fight.
Very good fight. Yeah, that's a good shout. That's actually a good test for Ben.
Yeah.
And it could be a night that Dan elevates if he can come through and really, put himself back in the contention if he gets rid of Ben Whittaker. And this, for me, was absolutely knockout of the weekend.
Yeah, of course it was.
But there was another one. Within the last 48 hours.
Okay.
And I know that you were up in the wee hours of the morning watching Anthony Joshua get rid of Jake Paul, but not in the fashion most predicted it would happen.
Do you know what?
About that fight.
Do you know what? Because I did an interview straight after the fight. I was actually angry because I was speaking about, and I want people to realize this. If you say something, right, that you're sounding critical of somebody, people straight away are gonna say, "Oh, you're hating." No, you're not. I'm a purist of boxing, right? I want people to realize this. You're gonna have to wake up very early in the morning to anybody who's watched more boxing, especially old fights. So I hold on to that ambience of the black and white fighters and how boxing is meant to be, and like you don't play boxing. It's not a gimmick. I understand that the world's changing. I get it, right? And if you don't accept change, then you're architect of decay. I understand that. But what I didn't like was the fact, like, when people were gassing up Jake Paul, or like people thinking they had a chance or blah, and we're looking at this as pantomime. This is what it was. It was glorified pantomime with boxing gloves on. So if I'm looking at that from that perspective, I'm saying, Auntie, you're meant to just blow this guy out, right? But you can see in there, Anthony Joshua was actually trying things. Anthony Joshua was saying, listen, you can see like a lot of times where he's trying to bowl him out on one shot to get that highlight reel knockout and stuff. And he said, right. And it's very difficult to do anything against a man who's fit and doesn't really want to engage. And that's what happened. But, and you're going to think I'm crazy, they could slip Jake Paul in to fight for a version of a cruiserweight world title, and it wouldn't surprise me if he wins it.
Who would he win that title off of? If you had to slip him in, who are you matching him up against?
The kid that just got the win over Badu Jack.
Noah McKillian.
Yeah, McKillian. Him versus Jake Paul.
You're picking Jake Paul.
He's in with a chance. I'm gonna tell you why. Seriously, I used to be very, very cynical of this guy. Think, all right, but he's learning something, and because he's dedicated himself to it, he's actually learning something. But he went 6 rounds with Anthony Joshua. There was his moral victory. That was his moral victory. Before, I was really upset. I was saying, nah, Josh, man, you should just bang this guy in 1 round or 2 rounds. But if that's the case, then someone else jump in there and try to bang out Jake Paul in 1 or 2 rounds. And you saw, like, when he said that you just want to beat down, you want to bring him down, it's very difficult to do anything for someone who doesn't want to engage. And then also, and this is no disrespect to Anthony Joshua, Anthony Joshua hasn't been taught feet. Not like he hasn't got good feet, because Anthony Joshua can actually dance, right? But he hasn't got good feet for boxing, because I'm saying it was either that you've regressed so much, or there's some form of unwritten law between you two, like, right, I'm not going to go bang you out straight away because you're Anthony Joshua. Now, I'm going to keep it raw. You're a 2-time world heavyweight champion. If I was to go back to the 80s, a 2-time heavyweight world champion, Tim Witherspoon, as far as I'm concerned, was an incredible boxer, yeah? He just wasn't that disciplined. If it was Tim Witherspoon back then, where he's slightly past peak jaded, and he was to put a Jake Paul in with Tim Witherspoon, that fight's not going 4 rounds. Tim Witherspoon would have battered him, right? So I'm expecting the same thing from Anthony Joshua. You're meant to go in there, clap this guy out, because he's a muppet. But it didn't happen. So that's got to be credit to Jake Paul. Like, yeah, it has to be credit to him. But I was disappointed simply because I'm expecting it's a joke fight. You're just gonna walk in there and just bang him out, and obviously it didn't happen.
What we saw against Ngannou is what we expected to see against Jake, and maybe even
Bro, we
sooner.
were there in Saudi Arabia. It was 2 years ago this month. Right, and we didn't, and because I didn't see that radio, I know what you said, right? Because I didn't see that radio, then I'm saying, bro, no, this is a gimmick because this is Francis Ngannou here, right? The man that floored Tyson Fury and gave him a run. I'm thinking to myself, nah, something ain't right here. Something's not tallying up. But it's also very difficult if someone doesn't want to engage. So it's a very good game plan, right? I'm not going to engage. I'm going to run. I'm going to hit. I'm going to hop. But when Anthony Joshua said I wanted to take his spirit, he kind of did, because there was a time in there where Jake wanted to quit. When he hit him and he went back, like his leg was hurt, and he wanted to quit. And to his credit, he did a whole Hogan ass. No, brother, I'm not going out like this. And he didn't. And he took his ass in. He did take his ass in. He took his ass in. I remember when Lennox Lewis fought Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson had nothing left, and he allowed Lennox Lewis to go and have the clean kill. Right? Knowing that I ain't got nothing less, but I'm not going to punk out on my stool. I'm going to go out. And fair play to him for that, because that's what he did. He said, right, I'm going to go out on my shield. And he did go out on his shield. Because, but he didn't really try and do anything because he was petrified, because he really hit. All this talk and all this manifestation and all this, right. It manifested, all right? It manifested at the back of Anthony Joshua's knuckles.
What does this do for your analysis of Joshua going in with Fury, who might be next now? Because I'm hearing in the post-fight press conference, Eddie Hearn talking about, we may not need a tune-up. Maybe this February fight doesn't happen.
Do you know why he's saying we don't need a tune-up? I'm going to just keep it real. Because Eddie most probably looked at that performance and said, I don't want to take the risk with Anthony Joshua right now against anyone else, because you can't give him a David Tete to fight, right? You got to give him somebody decent, recognizable name that people know of. So I think he doesn't want to take the risk. And also, at this stage in your career, when you're going to and you're with Usyk's trainers now, right? It's very difficult because it takes a little while for you to adjust to what they're trying to show you, right? It does. It takes a little while. So, and it's like, people always said, oh, well, you came into boxing late. You're learning on the job. So when is it, you've been a pro for how many years now? Since 2013. So it's no more learning on the job. I'm sorry, I'm not buying that. That's out the window now, right? I think that to the authenticity of how boxing used to be, it's not that anymore. And because it's not that anymore, guys don't learn stuff. It's not like the days where it was a given that I'd get home and I'm on the internet watching all the videos from Max Boxing. I used to watch every single, and this is where radio started, right? Right? All the gym wars, all the sparring, especially the James Toney sparring, all those kind of things. And then times I'm still boxing. You're watching these things and you're picking up stuff yourself. You're learning stuff. Boxing's changed now. You know what I mean? Boxing's all about how many views you get on social media, but that's not the real crux. The real crux of the game is the learning. And if you ain't got no teachers around you, how you gonna learn?
Do you think that if this fight goes off next, for the reasons that you just said, Joshua wins it or Fury wins it? Let's say this happens in somewhere between May and September. It's definitely coming at least in the second half of the year. Who are you picking?
Who would I pick? Realistically, if it's a fight, there's something inside me that thinks that Anthony Joshua would knock out Tyson Fury. And it's always been the case. Always. I'm not trying, because to me, and this is no disrespect, because I know the Furies very well, so I don't want to get no abuse from him. But I'm
It's coming.
Right.
You're getting abused.
But John Fury knows there's something about Anthony Joshua, right? If his mind's right, then he's a problem. John Fury knows this. I know for a fact that John Fury knows this. And John, we're pretty close. If Anthony Joshua's in tune, he could possibly knock out Tyson Fury. But what I'm trying to say to you, he wouldn't knock out Tyson Fury on the performance that was on Saturday. And that's because we showed that he hasn't got the best feet. Then if he hasn't got the best feet, I don't business. Tyson Fury can lug, or Tyson Fury's got very good feet. They're awkward feet, but they are very, very good feet. And if you're looking at Tyson Fury right now, he's in condition. And Tyson Fury has a better boxing IQ, right? But if it just came to a fight, Anthony Joshua would have to think like, I'm on the roads of Watford, but there ain't nowhere tough in Watford. So you have to take him out of Watford and bring him to South London, down Brixton. Say I'm on the roads of Brixton, and man are coming for me, and I'm going to show you like, right, come, let's have it. And if we could get that Anthony Joshua, we're going to bring it down to a fight, then Anthony Joshua has a humongous chance of winning. But if you want to enter into a boxing match against Tyson Fury, the only person that could cap Tyson Fury when it comes to boxing IQ is Usyk, right? Apart from that, there's nobody else.
Now Joshua's training with Usyk, so you add that little piece into the puzzle.
Right, listen, this ain't Rocky 3, man. You ain't going to pick up those skills. And that's a bag of bullshit as well. What, you took a 6-week camp with Apollo Creed, right, to learn how to dance? Come on, man, spare me, man. Right, I'm just gonna be real with you. Let's just be real. I can't see that. Seriously, I can't see. Just because you're at with Usyk's trainers now, that, because it takes a course of fights for you to learn. And you know, Radio, because you've been in the game a long time, it takes 3 to 5 fights for you to properly gel with your new coach. And sometimes when you're just picking and choosing and picking, sometimes things don't stick. And then what happens is this is like, the new trainer gets all the credit of everything of the old trainer used to do, right? Because then certain things start to click with you. So no, I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that.